So that was some of the unusual circumstances with your birth. And what was the date of your birth?
October the 18th, 1918.
In Malad, Idaho, Oneida County.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. What's the origin of your name?
My great-grandfather's name, William.
And you think that's the reason you were named
I think
William?
so.
Even though your dad's brother was also William, but you think
Yeah.
it was your grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell something about your playmates or your best friend when you were a little kid.
I don't know. Just my only brothers and things, I guess. Only thing I can think of.
So Neil, Tom, Clem, all those guys were your best friends, huh?
Yeah.
Lauren? Okay. Do you have any nicknames when you were a kid? Did your brothers call you anything other than Bill?
Oh, they used to call me Wild Bill, or they didn't, but that girl of Neil's husband, he's the one that gave me the name, playing softball over to Downey. And
Clark?
I got mad at him and, you know, take it easy, Wild Bill. And they called me that after that.
Everybody seemed to call you that, didn't they?
Yeah.
What were your favorite foods when you were a kid?
Food.
Yeah, what kind of foods did your mother make that...
Well, my dad always had a barrel of pork and a quarter of beef hanging on the back of the house. And that's, we always had for breakfast, we had milk, gravy, and bread. And pork if we wanted it. And my dad always got up and made breakfast after I made the fire.
You were in charge of the fire?
Well, each one of us
Took turns?
take a week at a time.
Hmm.
Colder than heck.
Okay. Do you have any pets when you were a kid?
Any what?
Pets. Animals, pets, horses, dogs,
Oh yeah.
cows, pigs.
When I was young, I used to have, really young, we used to have rabbits. Had a dog.
What was his name?
My old dog was named Ted.
Ted. What kind of dog was it?
One of them that's in the show all the time. What? That they
German
always,
Shepherd or German Shepherd?
no,
Collie.
Collie? Okay. All right.
and he was a good one. He'd kill all the rattlesnakes on the ranch. And he would just, they'd curl up and he'd just circle them. And all of a sudden he'd reach in and grab them behind the head and shake them to death. He never was scared of them.
Well, I thought you were the one that killed all the rattlesnakes.
I killed a million of them when he wasn't around.
Now, was he... How old were you when Ted was around?
Oh hell, I was 16 or 17, I guess. 15, 16, 17. We had him for a long time.
What kind of games did you play as a kid?
Oh, we used to play football, basketball. It used to be the courthouse, or the floor car. Oh, what the heck is it? forgot what they used to call it.
Basketball?
Yeah, flash of the court.
Well, flash of the maple court.
Yeah,
Played baseball too, didn't you?
yeah, I played baseball and I played basketball.
Well, tell us a little bit about your softball.
Oh,
You caught many years for Gordon.
yeah, I was always the catcher and he was the pitcher. And,
Hit a lot of home runs.
well, I didn't hit a lot of them, but I hit some of them. And softball was pretty hard to knock a home run.
You used to do it quite often when I was there, Dad. I remember. So you hit more than you think you hit.
I was a good hitter.
Do you remember anything about your clothes and stuff you wore as a kid?
Well, I never had shoes until I was 14.
Were they all hand-me-downs?
No,
Most of the clothes you had,
No.
were they? They
No.
weren't hand-me-downs?
no.
14 for shoes though, huh? You used to wear cowboy hats or baseball caps when you were a kid, or did you?
Oh, yeah. Not, I never did wear a cowboy hat until I got that one that Brad took. And I went meeting Gordon, went down to Salt Lake one day and got one of those,
Stetson.
you know,
What's do you remember some of the happiest times when you were a kid, and maybe some of your saddest times when you were a kid?
best times I guess is when I was with my friends and we were a good bunch of guys, but never done nothing wrong.
But your friends you're talking about is your brothers, right?
No. Yeah, I used to have a lot of friends besides them.
Can you name a few of them?
Oh, yeah. Delvin Abgood, Elwood Williams. And we used to go deep cricker down here and we'd play football games. They had a team and we had a team. And I used to carry two of them guys on my shoulders around town. One on each shoulder.
So you were always pretty strong.
Yeah, I was.
So when did Gordon and Keith and those guys come into your life? Is that when you were older, both of them, or was?
Yeah, when we was playing basketball and church ball, and we played together, and then they split the wards, main garden, and different wards, and Keith moved over here, and we had a town team, I guess, basketball. Used to play with that. I never did, was a great basketball player.
I thought you were pretty good. You got to remember, I'm your youngest. I got to see you when you're in your prime.
Oldest.
Did I say youngest?
Yeah.
Oldest. Okay, let's talk about. Well, we all know your brothers and sisters. Name off your brothers and sisters in the order they're the oldest to the youngest, Dad.
Well, my oldest brother died when he was about a month older.
And that's Ephraim?
Yeah. And Lauren was the next brother, and he died when he was 80. And Tommy was the next, and he's still alive. He's 89. And Senius was born. He only lived a couple of months. And Neil was born. And I was born.
We're leaving. You're gonna do the boys first. That's all right.
And Clem.
Okay. Now your sisters.
And my sisters, Sister Mary was the oldest. And Sister Ruth was next. And Leela was the next, I guess. And Nadine was next. And Donna was the baby.
So were you about the fifth or sixth in the family, Dan? You're right in the
I
middle,
think
weren't
I was
you?
about seventh.
Seventh. Okay. Were you pretty close to all your brothers and sisters?
Well, but them two oldest ones. And,
Well, yeah, the one that died.
Yeah.
Lauren, you were pretty close to Lauren, though, weren't you?
oh yeah. Yeah. I liked old Lauren.
Tell us about your folks. What your feelings about your mother and dad?
My what?
Tell us about how you felt about your mother and dad.
Yeah, I just loved them both. They were good parents. And I was sick quite a bit in the time in the family. I missed 2 years of school, being sick. Part of the years, anyway.
Is that a blood? That was with blood disease?
Kidney, humus of the kidney.
Hmm.
Once, and the other one I had blood poison. Then I had my tongue cut off.
From a swing, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell kind of it says life story of your folks, but can you tell a little bit about your dad and maybe where he fit in and his family and
Well,
was he where was he born and raised, Dad? Was he?
yeah, either Smerry or Bloodview, I don't know which. But he was the oldest boy in the family.
Oh, he was.
Yeah. And when he died, he had 5 brothers and 5 sisters and 5 sons and 5 daughters living when he died. He wasn't the oldest in the family, but Aunt Lizzie was the oldest woman. And I don't know where they were come in from there.
But did he have a pretty?
Ray was the youngest.
Did he have a pretty rough life, Dad?
Who?
Grandpa? I mean, was he? Did he work pretty hard as a kid out there with
He worked hard all his life.
and mainly out in the Smurry?
He spent all of his summers. He was out shearing sheep. Never see him.
And where would he go? Just here locally, or
All over.
you mean into Utah and Montana, Idaho, stuff like
I
that?
imagine he did. Where there was a crew, and he was one of the crew, and they went all over.
You tell us about your mother.
Well,
Where did
Oh,
she? Where was she in her family? Was she the oldest or youngest or middle or?
heck, don't know. I think she was the oldest girl in the family, and they spent a lot of their time up in Edamilad. They had a
Daniels?
farm up
Up there in Daniels had a,
there, and I remember her used to telling about the Indians always come to scare them when their family wasn't there. They was always coming to the house and looking through the windows, scaring them up there.
I remember that. They're telling those stories.
Yeah. And then when she was real sick when I was born, she had a lot of trouble.
Hmm.
And she had a big operation. And I lived with Aunt Lil, or she took care of me. And then Mary Thomas, she nursed me.
Did she have a kid?
Yeah, same age.
Who was it?
Fred.
Oh, Aunt Mary nursed you. Okay.
Fred always said, he says, that's why you're bigger than me, you got the biggest part of my belly.
Probably true, huh?
Could have been.
He was 14 pounds.
I don't remember none of it about it, but
Can you think of any Christmas or special holidays you had as a family over there, Dad? Were they special Christmases, or was that pretty hard to come up with something on Christmas time?
pretty hard to come with any Christmas. I remember all my life, all I got for Christmas, either a mouth organ or a pocket knife.
Hmm.
That's about all we ever got for Christmas. That I can remember anyway. Now, maybe we got clothes and stuff, but I don't remember.
So did you guys have a rough time going through the crash in the 30s? I mean, was that something that you guys really felt, or did you kind of go through that like with no suffering?
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, that was, there was no money. And that's when the bank down here closed. And I was in the hospital having my tonsils out. And I can remember looking out the old hospital downtown. And the bank was closed. And the street was covered with people trying to get their money out of it.
Hmm.
I think that was 1932, I'm not sure, or 30.
What's the name of the bank?
What was the name? Was that the Jane Ireland, or was that
Jane Ireland.
Was it?
Yeah.
So that did collapse then, huh? You got anything question to ask? Just chip in here. Was there any family traditions that you had over there, Dad? I mean, was there something you did every Christmas, or something that you all look forward to, or something that Grandma did that she had to do on a special Christmas?
The only thing that was special is the big meal that she would put on for the whole family, wherever there was. They'd always come home.
And what a cook she was.
She used to make, was it 9 loaves of bread every day?
How about those raisin-filled cookies? Did she always make those?
Yeah,
And the raspberry pies and the
she was a great
rhubarb
cook.
pie.
Those raspberry cookies. Oh.
Yeah, they
I
were
mean those
good.
raisin cookies with
Yeah,
the
they were-
raisins in it.
They were good.
Anything she made was good.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about religion. Was the family always active in the church?
Well, I don't think it was that great. I don't think it was. It was all in the church, and they'd go every once in a while, yes, but I don't think it was
When
every Sunday.
Every Sunday time?
But my dad I used to go to different wards with him and Dick Evans to give 2.5-minute talks.
You would give the talk, or your dad would give the talk?
Me and another boy would give the talk. They were the bosses, the leaders.
Did they talk?
No, not that I can ever remember.
Your dad was a high priest, though, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah. He'd have to be. Get married in the temple.
No, you'd be an elder. You'd be an elder to get married in the temple,
maybe,
but
I
it
don't
seemed
know
like he
whether
was, wasn't he a high priest?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, when were you baptized, Dad? Were you at 8 years old?
I think I was 9.
Who baptized you?
I think. A guy down Nick Street down near Harrison. It wasn't Bob Harrison, it was his brother. I can't think what his first name was. But we went down to see a dead person with my mother and dad down, I don't know the house that we went to too, you know, old Emmett Thomas's house. The woman had died, and I went down there with them. And on the way, they stopped in the steak house down there where the cafe is. They had me baptized there that night.
You're not talking about Second Ward,
No, by your door.
In the steak,
oh, at the Bishop Storehouse.
Yeah, Bishop
Bishop Storehouse. They get baptism upon there? I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
it's still there.
I thought you got baptized out in Pleasant Grove, or Pleasant View, and that,
No, I'm
you baptized out there before.
baptized somewhere.
No. And who confirmed you, Dad?
I don't know. Who did, Rita?
I have no idea. I got good to remember who did me.
I don't know who it was unless it was Edward Crowther, I don't remember.
He's the one that made you an elder.
He was.
Can you share some interesting experiences you had involving the church? I mean, you were in the bishopric for how many years, Dad?
7.5 years we were in.
And that was with Gar Sweeten and Tom Perry.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything that happened during those years that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, that's when I had a stroke.
You had a stroke while you were in the
Yeah.
bishopric.
And I tried to get him to release me, but he wouldn't do it.
They were some good years though, weren't they?
Yeah.
You enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. I did after.
After it was over with?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you enjoyed it while you were doing it.
I did. I enjoyed it. I just scared.
Well, I think that kind of runs in the family a little bit.
And just on account of me.
Yeah?
Because your mother wasn't scared of nothing.
No, I never ever did what happened at all.
So what other jobs you have in the church, Dad?
Well, I was 70, and we was the night we was put in the 70. That's when they had the 70s in the ward.
Mhm.
And
He was one of the 7 presidents, so he was.
yeah, and I was the president, and we was set apart as the second counselor in this presidency. What's his name? Prof. Faust? Faust?
Fast. Yeah.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah.
Fast. And Edward
He
Crowther,
came up here and put 10 of us in the 70s in one night.
and Edward Crowther was the one that ordains you to an elder. Is that right?
That's what Brad says.
That's what you gave me on one of your
Okay.
slips.
All right.
Good bit.
Who ordains you to be a high priest?
I think he's either Clyde Hanson or President Sorensen.
Okay. You were also, weren't you stake athletic director or were you ward athletic director? Were you both at one time?
No, it was Stake.
You were
At one
stake
time.
athletic director
Yeah.
for quite a few years, weren't you?
Yeah, quite a while.
That's what Brooks is now.
You see? I didn't know that.
And we had that good ball team. You know about that.
Yeah, but these people don't know. I mean, you got to tell how good your oldest son was. You know, Now tell about the team. Just tell about, you know, you don't have to, just tell a little bit about that team.
When we get that team and they split the wards, we had about 4 others that could have helped us in that game, in that team, and they split the wards. And we went to All's church and took 2nd place in the All church. The last year we went, I guess it was.
So the first year we went, we took 13th. The second year we took 9th. And the last year we took 2nd.
Yeah,
And got sportsmanship of the all church.
yeah,
You got sportsmanship too last year.
yeah, and we got sportsmanship.
So how good was your oldest brother? Son.
Damn good.
He was?
Do you remember that record? I don't, you know, Richard Rice can tell you every game we played and how many games we won and stuff like that, but the only game we lost that year was the game for the championship.
Yeah,
And I can't remember whether that was something like 36 games we won and 1 game we lost, something like that.
something like that.
What was the score of that last game?
6-0.
Well, it was nothing to nothing till they knocked that little roller down to Ken Lusk. He went over to pick it up and go back, touch the base, and he didn't have the ball. It was nothing to nothing, and that was in the last inning.
Yeah. And let's see what else happened on that.
He cried like a baby.
We also, Lowell was sick. He was pitching that game sick.
Yeah.
So, but that, you know, that's not an excuse because we had a great year. Okay, let's move on to something else. Talk about all the money you spent for all your missionaries.
Well, that was one thing I enjoyed. And all the money that I was making driving the school bus went in for that.
That's what I wanted to hear you say.
41 years of driving school bus paid for 4 sins on a mission?
Yeah.
The last one mostly.
Oh, Brandon's on about his girl.
Oh,
75.
What'd she say?
That's what she gets for having.
she said Brett was as bad as Brooks.
Well, they both had a checkbook.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
But you gotta remember that I had a car.
Yeah, so did Brooks.
You had a car? I had my own car.
yeah,
Brooks had a
checkbook.
So,
checkbook too.
but I only wrote it for 75 bucks, and that's so you had a car wreck.
Which happened.
Okay, let's move on. This is getting into, and
Getting into something you don't want to hear, right?
and when you get to this part,
Delete.
erase it. Okay, schooling.
Huh?
What age did you go to school, Dad? Did you go at 6 or?
I got in, you know, they wouldn't take you, unless you was 6. And I just didn't make it, because it was in October, you had to be 6 by October. And I made that. And that's the year that I got blood poison in my hand. And I missed the biggest part of the year. And Mrs. Harding was Miss Harding was my teacher. And I can remember her coming down and tell the folks that she would pass me if they wanted me to, or her too, but she thought I'd be better off to stay another year in the beginners. So they kept me in the beginners for another year. And then I skipped the 1st grade, half stayed, and I was back up with the ones that started with the biggest part of. And then when I was in the 8th grade, I believe it was, when I had the kidney trouble, and I was out over half of the year. And when I went back to school, Eva Jones was my teacher. She come and told me, if you study real hard and do good on your tests, I'll pass you in the 8th grade. So I think that's the best grade I ever got. I passed that 8th grade. And when I got into high school, second year, and the last week of the sophomore year, that's when I had to stop. They thought I had scarlet fever. I missed the last week. And then when my dad got sick, so I just quit school and went to work. Make a living for the family.
Hey, how did you get the blood poisoning?
Pitchfork right there. Right there, I guess it was. Still got a scar there. And I guess they didn't know what to do about it then.
Okay, we're gonna switch over.